Have you ever wondered why we start so many projects with this burning, unstoppable enthusiasm only to completely abandon them a few weeks later? Why we're constantly chasing these new goals but somehow rarely crossing the finish line? Okay, let's just dive right into this, because the answers here are absolutely fascinating.
So, we need to start with a rather shocking reality check. According to studies from the University of Scranton and research out of MIT, only about 10% of people actually follow through on their goals. 10%. That means a staggering 90% of us are, well, quitters. We abandon the books we start writing, we drop out of our gym resolutions after, maybe 2 weeks, and we completely vanish from online courses after just 3 or 4 lessons. So, if only 10% are making it to the finish line, what exactly are the other 90% doing? Well, they're stuck in a relentless, exhausting loop of just starting over.
To figure this out, here's our roadmap for today's explainer. We're going to cover the epidemic of quitting, define shiny object syndrome, map out the emotional cycle of change, uncover the hidden costs, and finally, the best part, we'll give you 5 actionable cheat codes to actually finish your projects once and for all.
But hey, before we get to the heavy science, let's point the mirror at ourselves for a second. I want you to mentally scan your phone right now. Seriously, think about it. How many unused fitness apps are just sitting in a folder somewhere? Or think about that Duolingo streak for Spanish or Japanese that broke after exactly 3 days, even while the app is literally begging you to come back. What about those coding or Excel courses where your completion certificate proudly sits at exactly 0%? If you're nodding along right now, do not feel bad. You are not lazy. You're just trapped in a psychological loop that is quietly killing your productivity. So, let's move right into our diagnosis. Shiny object syndrome explained. When we abandon our current tasks for exciting new ones, it's so easy to just think, "Oh, I lack willpower." But here is the genuinely empowering truth. Your brain's hardware is not broken. It hasn't malfunctioned. Actually, it's been hijacked.
Now, what's really fascinating here is the connection between these two concepts. You see, thousands of years ago, our ancestors survived because of something called neophilia, basically a natural built-in love for new things. Finding a new path meant avoiding a predator. Finding new resources meant staying alive. But today, in our hyper-connected digital age, this ancient survival instinct has mutated into a really dangerous modern trap known as shiny object syndrome, or SOS. Your brain is literally manipulating you into thinking your current difficult project is just too exhausting, and that the shiny new idea over there is going to be way better. It's tricking you just to avoid the hard work.
To see just how destructive this can be, let's look at the story of 2 equally talented cricketers from Mumbai, Sachin Tendulkar and Vinod Kambli. They shared the exact same ground, the same dream, and the same coach. In fact, early on, a lot of experts actually considered Kambli the more naturally gifted of the two, especially after he scored back-to-back double centuries in 1994. But Kambli fell victim to shiny object syndrome. He got distracted by the glamour, the parties, the whole lifestyle, and he completely lost his consistency. On the flip side, Tendulkar maintained this ruthless focus and discipline. Even when facing bad form, injuries, and immense pressure to retire, he ignored the shiny distractions and stuck to his daily grind to become an absolute legend. They started at the exact same place, but SOS dramatically altered their trajectories.
Moving right along to the emotional cycle of change. How exactly does the brain trick us into walking away from our ambitions? Let's dissect the psychological journey of pretty much any new project. Every single new endeavor goes through these 5 stages. Stage 1 is uninformed optimism. This is day 1. It's when you plan a new goal and get this massive instant dopamine hit. You feel like a complete winner without doing any actual work yet. But then comes stage 2, informed pessimism. After a week or so, the harsh reality of the hard work sets in. The dopamine battery dies, and FOMO, that fear of missing out, creeps in as your brain starts playing trailers for other, way easier ideas.
So the absolutely crucial point is right here at level 3, the valley of despair. This is where progress feels agonizingly slow, your motivation is completely dead, and the work is, well, just plain boring. And this is the exact moment your brain throws a shiny new object right in front of your face. It's a trap. Your brain wants to skip the hard work and jump straight back to the easy excitement of stage 1. And the very second you take that bait and switch to the new project, your progress resets entirely, back to 0. You never ever make it to stages 4 and 5.
And that brings us to the hidden costs of SOS. Constantly falling into that valley of despair carries massive invisible damage that compounds heavily over time. The absolute biggest trap of shiny object syndrome is confusing motion with momentum. When you're constantly jumping between new ideas, new apps, and new tools, you feel incredibly busy. You feel like you're working so hard, but honestly, it's an illusion. It's exactly like sitting in a rocking chair. The chair is moving rapidly, giving you this great feeling of motion, but you aren't actually going anywhere. To succeed, you don't need motion. You need actual forward momentum.
The real-world costs of this rocking chair illusion are just devastating. First off, you aren't just exploring, you're actively training your quitting muscle. Every single time you quit faster than the last time, you're literally teaching your brain to look for the exit door instead of pushing through. Second, you become a permanent beginner. You know a tiny bit about 10 different things, but you're an expert in absolutely nothing. Third, you accumulate this massive tranche of debt of half-finished projects, wasting thousands of dollars and hours on unused memberships. And honestly, worst of all, it shrinks your ambition. Because you keep failing to finish, you start doubting yourself, and you slowly, quietly, lower the expectations for your own life.
Okay, enough of the gloom and doom. Let's get to the 5 cheat codes to finish. It is time to empower ourselves and look at exactly how the top 10% hack their brains to defeat this once and for all.
We can anchor our solution in this brilliant insight from Logan Paul, someone who operates at the absolute top tier of digital media, sports, and business. He notes that he doesn't do everything at once. He obsesses over one thing until it's automated, and only then does he move on to the next. Real growth, real success requires a relentless obsession with completion.
Let's move to our first hack and see how this builds. Cheat code 1, the Chuol sheet or the parking lot. Chuol basically translates to a mental itch or a sudden nagging urge. When you're deep in work and a brilliant, shiny new idea suddenly hits your brain, giving you that sweet dopamine spike, do not act on it. Instead, open a specific note on your phone called the Chuol sheet and just write it down. This simple little act acknowledges the idea, satisfying your brain's dopamine craving without completely derailing your current work. Keep it parked there. You'll find that 80% of the time when you look back at it a few days later, that irresistible urge is completely gone. Cheat code 2 is to burn the ships. Back in 1590, when Commander Cortez landed on an island, he ordered his men to burn their own ships. Why on earth would he do that? Because it removed the option of retreating. It was literally succeed or perish. You can do this in modern life by creating real financial stakes. Before starting a project, give a chunk of your money, an amount that would actually hurt to lose, to a friend or family member. Tell them to keep the cash if you quit. When quitting is no longer free and actually causes you real pain, your brain will suddenly, magically, find a way to survive the valley of despair.
Next up is cheat code 3, mental time travel. This is an amazing technique used by elite athletes and actors to instantly transport their brains right into a highly specific zone. Here's how you do it. Before you begin a new goal, create a specific music playlist. Listen to it only when you're in that exciting day one planning phase. Then, later, when you inevitably hit those boring, slow, awful parts of level 3, put that exact same playlist on. It acts like a time machine, instantly triggering your brain to reconnect with that original uninformed optimism and raw energy.
Moving on to cheat code 4, the boredom reset. A massive reason we crave shiny new objects is that our brains are incredibly overstimulated by constant endless digital noise. To break this loop, you need to schedule a strict tech detox. Spend a day or even just half a day with no phone, no internet, and 0 screens. Just you and a notebook. By starving your brain of that constant cheap stimulation, you're essentially hitting the factory reset button. Suddenly, that seemingly boring project you've been putting off, it's going to feel exciting and deeply engaging all over again.
And finally, cheat code 5, build the finisher muscle. Look, if you can't stick to a goal for 3 days, it just means your quitting muscle is huge and your finisher muscle is completely weak. So stop trying to lift heavy mental weights right out of the gate. Make the entry point ridiculously small. Don't aim to work out for an hour. Just commit to doing exactly 5 minutes of stretching. The goal here isn't the physical result at all. The goal is simply to prove to your brain that you are actually capable of finishing what you start. Once you shift your identity from a starter to a finisher on the tiny things, those massive goals become incredibly easy to handle.
All of this brilliantly illustrates what we've unpacked today, which leads me to a final provocative challenge for you. What is your one goal and what is your absolute deadline? Don't just think about it in your head. Make a public contract with yourself right now. Go into the comments below and declare the one single project you are going to obsess over and the exact date you will finish it. It's time to overcome the shiny objects, guys. Because while the world might politely clap for starters, history is only ever written by finishers. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.